Okay, we'll move on. We'll move into introduction, adoption of ordinances, public hearing. Item letter A, public hearing, cemetery animal ban. Jason.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Due to, this came in from this council May 16th of last year with the recommendation to send it to the Public Service Committee meeting. Since then, we're still having issues with the cemetery. It's an ongoing concern for some time now. Owners use the cemeteries as dog runs, allowing their pets to run on leash throughout the premises. Ordinance number 2017-01 is currently in place, allowing animals as long as they are leashed and controlled, and also limiting them to the roadways within. The ordinance has consistently been ignored as expected, animals relieving themselves on headstones or various other places within the cemeteries, whether leashed or unleashed. Not only is it very disrespectful to the deceased, but their families as well. In an attempt to remedy the situation, the Cemetery Board has requested the city attorney draft an amended ordinance prohibiting all animals from being in the cemeteries. The ordinance is attached for review and adoption after public hearings held. As I stated earlier, during the City Council meeting on May 16th of 2022, this item was sent to the Public Services Committee for review and recommendation. Public Service Committee met on September 11th, 2023, and recommended to send this back to Council for public hearing to discuss moving forward with the cemetery animal ban.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Jason while he's at the podium? Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
We will now open up the podium for public comment. Please limit your public comments to 3 minutes. Please limit your trips to 1 to the podium. And remember, this is only speaking about the cemetery animal ban. Podium is now open.
Hello, Kim Tucker, Ward 4. I didn't go up to Oak Grove Cemetery very much until I lost my daughter 11 years ago. And the dog issue has been an ongoing issue for years. And I know it's been brought up several times before and it seems to get brushed under the carpet. But this is something that's very ignorant of people that constantly take their animals up there. What I have witnessed is cars will go up there because it's very secluded in the back, and that's where my graves are at, is in the back. And it's very secluded. So they drive in there, head straight for the back, let their animals out of their vehicle, which I've witnessed at least 3 dogs they're letting loose. They let them out, they let them go wherever, run wherever, then they whistle and they all jump back in the van and they leave. So it's not just people that go up there and walk their dogs where they're supposed to on a leash in the roadway and stuff. That's not the issue. It's the issue that people are too lazy to walk their dogs, so they take them up there and just let them out. I've witnessed it several times. And it's just a no-brainer that you don't do that in a cemetery. Now, I don't know about Lakeside or Lakeview, whatever it is. I don't know, and I'm not asking for that to be a no-dog. I'm specifically here for Oak Grove. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Any more public comment?
I'm Richard Smith. I live at 63 South Broad Street. I'm on the cemetery board. When this first came up a couple of years ago, it came up because of the signage. We wanted to try to simplify the signage and update it. And anyway, the dog issue, of course, came up. And we tried to work around it to lessen the blow to some people that wanted to walk their dogs, but it didn't seem to solve any problems amongst the council at that time. I've been to a lot of cemeteries, and I look at the signage, and in this day and age, a lot of them are putting up signs, no pets. Some of the cemeteries where they put up signs, no pets, I've been surprised because they were out, even out in the country somewhere. But when we go to a cemetery, we go there to respect those that are there, and we don't go to have to step over dog poop. And I've been to some cemeteries and some funerals not too long ago where I had to do that and warn people, be careful. You can't expect the sextons to go through the cemetery cleaning up dog poop, and you don't want to pay them to do that. I have a dog. I have been to cemeteries with my dog. My dog does not leave the vehicle. He stays in while I do whatever I'm doing at the cemetery. I leave and I find a place to let him run. So, based on the fact that this is a sacred ground, these cemeteries, I do not feel that we should allow dogs or any other animals, for that matter, to be running loose or even on a leash anymore. It's just, people are just not that cognizant of proper manners. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Any more public comment?
Yes, good evening, council. My name is Frank Engle. I live at 53 South Norwood. I'm also the cemetery sexton for the city of Hillsdale. A lot of this has come about because I do work at the cemetery a lot. I have been chased by dogs, almost bitten by dogs. I've had to clean up after dogs before funerals. And like Mr. Smith, I believe that there's sacred, sanctified grounds where animals should not be allowed to run freely and just defecate or urinate wherever they so feel, and people do not clean up after them. It doesn't matter if they're on a leash or not on a leash, people don't clean up after them. People that come to grieve after the loss of a loved one should not have to deal with seeing the disrespect of others in plain sight on the ground. We have tried for years to enforce the leash laws at the cemeteries to prevent this from happening. But despite the fact that there's signage up where they're supposed to be reserved to the roadways and only be on a 6-foot leash or less, people do not pay attention to it at all. It's completely disregarded. We might as well not have the signs. Like one person was saying, people drive across town to go there, open the doors, let their dogs out, run wherever, do whatever, and then leave. If they're gonna load their animals into a vehicle, go somewhere else. Don't go to a cemetery. That's not the only choice they have to run around. They could go to San Presto Field over by our shop. No one uses it for anything. Dogs play there all the time. There's no problem because there's nobody buried there, I don't think. So we want to replace it. We've got a new expansion we've put at Lakeview Cemetery. We're ready to put up a new sign, and we'd like to only have to do it once, and we want to get the wording correct and correct typographical errors on the old signs. It would just be easier to do this, take care of this once, but we'd like to just have dogs not allowed out of vehicles at cemeteries so that we do not have to worry about the poor guys weed whipping hitting stuff that are not weeds. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Any more public comment? Seeing none, we will close the podium. We'll open up the council table for discussion. I will say in the past, I have not really been in favor of this. Generally speaking, my outlook is sick society passes laws, like a sick person takes medicine, and more laws don't usually fix the solutions we're looking to them to fix. But I would agree with Frank and Kim that this is sacred ground. It seems like we've been dealing with this for a while and people are just plain being inconsiderate about it. And there are plenty of other options in town. We've got several city parks. As Frank said, we've got the Presto Field over there. There's a big plot over on Union Street, right before you get to Vine Street, that people like to take their dogs. So at this point, I'm in favor of this cemetery animal ban. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it too. Frank and I went up and selected a grave site for me a couple of years ago, and being 72 years old and 1 foot in the grave, I think it's high time that we did something about this.
We're all heading there, Councilman Morrissey, so.
Not so fast.
Oh, you'll be the guy that lives forever, Bruce. You're stubborn enough to do it, so. Any more discussion? Councilman Soha.
I'm on the Public Services Committee, and I want to apologize that it took us a year to get this before full council, and I'm definitely in favor of it. So.
Any more discussion? Councilman Beer?
Another point of consideration is that under the current ordinance, a police officer would have to actually witness it. And then you get the denial, and then you get the evidence, which I would want to deal with either. It makes it easy from a policing standpoint, from the standpoint that if a person has a dog, they're in violation. They don't have to go look for a pile of poo, and it would make the adherence to it and cooperation much easier on our public safety personnel.
And that's a good point, Councilman Beer. We can't expect our police to be the poo police. So, and if there's no animals in the cemetery, it's very easy for a resident to report somebody's violating that. It's very easy for the police who actually the police are at the cemetery quite a bit, I've noticed. So, any more discussion? Councilman Palladino.
I agree with everything said. We have beautiful trails and parks. Yeah, council has an obligation to protect sacred spaces. The one thing the council or the committee is considering is that the fine for this is currently $25. We're not sure if that will be a sufficient deterrent. We were sort of noting how silly it is that we're charging people $75 for a permit to do something legally, but it's $25 to break the law. So just wanted to update the council and let them know that we will be working on adjusting that, looking at surrounding cities. And we don't think that has been adjusted for at least 20 years, it seems.
Thank you, Councilman Palladino. Any more discussion? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Veer, seconded by Councilman Soha to pass the cemetery ban, animal cemetery ban, ordinance number 2017-01. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we are now closing the public hearing, and we will